We're joined now by the winning connections of Royal Delta, who most assuredly won herself an Eclipse Award, one would think, as the champion 3-year-old filly. Congratulations. I know second from our left is Ron Wallace, who is the racing manager for the estate of Prince Saud bin Khalid. And Ron, if you would be kind enough to introduce to us the woman on your right, who I'm not... you could... Karen Woods, of course, thank you. And also with us, of course, is... Yeah, thank you. Bill Mott, of course, the winning trainer, his second consecutive Ladies Classic win as a trainer, his fourth Ladies Classic victory overall, and his seventh Breeders' Cup win in all the races combined. Bill also trained Agena in 1997 to a Ladies Classic win. 1998 was Asina, and of course last year, 2010, Unrivaled Bell. And on our far right is jockey Jose Lezcano, who is celebrating his second Breeders' Cup win. He won back in 2008 with Marum, who ironically Prince Khalid and Karen Woods were involved with as co-owners there. So happy coincidence with our non-training connections there with Marum and also Royal Delta. Okay, congratulations to all of you. Bill, you've exuded confidence this week without blowing your horn, but everybody seems to be saying that your horses are all training well. You haven't disagreed with anybody on that score, and certainly what we saw out there with Royal Delta was very impressive, closing despite less than blistering fractions out there. She must have really raced up to your expectations, I take it.
Well, she really didn't. At the eighth pole, or approaching the eighth pole, I started to think, well, I hope the fractions were fast enough for us to get there. I started to get a little worried because the speed seemed to be carrying very well. And about the time I started to worry, I saw her starting to gain the momentum. And you know, once she got to him, she was, you know, it was adios, see you later. And she ran really well. She ran up to the way she's been training. My staff, everybody around her has done a tremendous, tremendous job. We're so fortunate to have a filly like this. I mean, we recognized her as a very nice filly before she ever ran. After she ran the first time, I mean, it looked like, you know, she was probably better than we even thought she was. And, you know, she's just continued on that path. She was a little immature here in the spring. We had the option of possibly running in the Kentucky Oaks, but we thought she only had 3 races underneath her belt. And, you know, with that, we took an easier route with her and went to a race in Pimlico with a smaller field. She won the Black-Eyed Susan, and of course, you know, then with the extra experience that she got, she was ready for today. But she came into Kentucky. We've been here for 4 weeks. We got dug in here and just to try to get the job done.
Well, you certainly did that, Bill, and so did you, Jose. Could you take us through your journey around the track? Were you concerned at all about a slow pace developing? It looked like Plum Pretty was just kind of galloping along on the front end by herself. What were your thoughts as you went around the racetrack?
Yeah, when she bred, you know, I tried to go. I'm sorry. When she bred real good, but in the first tune, I know the pace go a little slow, you know, but the thing, the way my filly goes, it go very comfortable, you know, and this I want really for him, and when I hit the quarter pole, I feel very comfortable at the 3A, I feel very comfortable with the way she goes, you know.
And Ron, I'm sure this is a happy moment, but not without bittersweet or melancholy feelings as well. Prince Khalid of Saudi Arabia passed away earlier this year. I know that his racing holdings are going to be dispersed by his estate. Can you comment on Prince Khalid's passion for the game, his investment, and by that I mean heart and soul, into thoroughbred racing, and what this victory means for those of you who were close to him?
Absolute ultimate for him. And he was so passionate about the horses. He loved the farm and every horse. He knew them all well. He did all the matings. He was able to see her maiden win, so he knew how good she probably was going to be. Unfortunately, he didn't get to see how great, and it's definitely the best horse he's ever bred. And she's, we foaled her dam and raced her dam at Chanticleer, and same way with her. And, he was just a wonderful man, and it's just a shame that his sons don't have the same passion that he does for the sport.
And Karen, can you just walk us through what's going to take place with the horse from this point forward? Somebody's going to get quite a filly.
I really wish I knew how to answer that, but we really don't know. She's just going to go through the dispersal. So whoever gets her, we really hope that she'll stay with Bill Mott, and he'll be able to campaign her, and she'll be the great horse that she is.
And that dispersal will take place when?
At Keeneland next week.
Okay.
And I believe we sell the next 2 weeks. Tuesday and the following Tuesday?
And the following Tuesday.
So whatever somebody buys from Chanticleer Farm, we've raised 22% stakes winners off of that farm. The soil's been magic. The farm's been great. The personnel from the farm have been fabulous. The veterinarians that work there. We've just had a great team, and it's been a passion that we built for over 26 years. It'll go. It'll be great. Whoever even wants to buy the farm later, they decide to sell that too.
Okay, so a lot of changes in the offing. As always, members of the media upstairs are welcome to ask a question. It'll be, we'll hear you loud and clear down here. Just go see Angie in the middle. And also, folks here are welcome to ask questions. And I see Danny in the back. If we can get the wireless microphone over to Danny. Oh, Danny Brewer. There we go. Okay, go ahead, Danny.
Okay, y'all talked about magic and greatness. Was the final furlong of this race just a culmination of that? And anybody can answer that. Was it just a culmination of the magic and greatness that Royal Delta has had all year?
Go ahead, Bill.
Well, I think, distance has never been a problem for this filly. She won the Alabama, going a mile and a quarter, and obviously at a mile and an eighth, she's got plenty of stamina. She's got enough speed to, stay within range of the pace, and she's got a very good turn of foot. I mean, I was hoping that the track would be solid enough for her to get a hold of, and obviously it was. And she's got a lot of finish to her. I mean, Jose let her get in a very nice rhythm, and I think that's the whole thing with her, not to get in her way, just let her find her best cruising speed, and when it's time, ask her for, a little more, and she gives it to you. I think she's become experienced enough now, throughout the year to do that. Early in the year, she was a little confused about some of those things. I mean, she would be a little rank and a little anxious early in the race when she wasn't supposed to be, but finally now she's waiting for the rider to give her a signal, and when it's time to go that last quarter of a mile, she gives you a nice kick, and she looked like she stayed straight as a string today and stayed on her proper lead, and I haven't had a chance to see the rerun yet, but it's been a great family. She's a well-bred filly. I was lucky enough. I trained her mother, and I did train her grandmother for a while, so I feel like she's part of my family.
This is a question for Jose and Bill. Were you worried about with the fractions at all?
Well, I mean, I can probably answer that. I mean, I guess, Jose, was in the middle of her, and obviously I'm sure he felt comfortable where he was at. And although he doesn't, have a teletimer out there, he's probably got a pretty good clock in his head. But I had the luxury of looking at the teletimer, knowing and hearing the announcer, knowing they went in 49 and change, and I thought, that's a little slow. And, you always worry about that. I mean, pace always makes the race, but I think it's a testament to the filly's ability and the fact that she does have a good turn of foot to, to close in on a slow pace like that. I mean, we were 5 or 6 lengths back, which wasn't too bad, but to close into that sort of pace, I think is we've got to give the filly a lot of credit for that. And I also give Jose a lot of credit for having her where she found her rhythm and her stride, and give her the opportunity to give that final kick.
Well, all the best with that filly, Bill Mott, and the
Thank
whole
you.
connections.
Thank you.
Bill, you said her first career start surprised you a little bit about, maybe you thought she might even be better than what you initially thought. Can you just talk about what you saw in that first start?
Well, I think what happens when you get some of these good horses and they've got a good disposition, and it was no different with her. I mean, she was very nice to gallop. You didn't have to have a special exercise rider on her or anything. I mean, she just went around, did her work, and she would finish her breezes, and she might finish a half a length in front or a length in front, and we were never asking her for her life in the morning. So we looked back. Before I ran her, I looked back on her training chart, and I said, nobody's ever really finished in front of this filly, although she may have just been a head in front or neck in front, and just usually on the bridle and just doing enough to get fit, and we just wanted to get her to the races. But the first time she ran, she kind of broke a little tardy from the gate, was in traffic. Jose had her, you could see down the backside, or he was going into the turn. He's fishing for a spot to, give her a chance to run. He kind of angled in, angled out, and all of a sudden it opened up and she went away. And, she made the lead, just passing the quarter pole. And I thought, well, now we'll see if she's good enough to, get a piece of this. I mean, she actually did make the lead, and I thought, well, she doesn't really have to win from here. I mean, she's, kind of done a lot of running around the turn from the 3/8 pole to the quarter pole, and all of a sudden she starts drawing away, and we were kind of like, whoa, it was really impressive, because it wasn't just a win, it was a very impressive win, and you could tell that, after watching it, she was something very special.
And it's pretty unique to have 3 generations. Do you see similar traits in this family from the horses you've had?
Well, do I see more what?
Do you see similar traits in each of those horses, like Delta Princess?
Well, actually, Royal Delta's mother, Delta Princess, won her first start and was very impressive. The only thing is, this filly's got a much better disposition. I mean, she's a much calmer. Delta Princess was actually quite a handful even to get the saddle on in the paddock at times. And, she was a good filly, but never, I would say that, this filly has really gone a notch further, and she's, I mean, she proved that today. And she's a big, strong, sound filly, and there should be some good things to come with her. Whoever gets her could probably look forward to having a nice year with her next year if they decide to race her again. I see at this point there'd be no reason not to do that, and hey, I'd be happy enough to, be her trainer if somebody wants that to happen. So
either Bill Mott or Jockey Lezcano could answer this. When you chased Harvard the Grace at Belmont, the track was muddy, and I am sure that was a good experience for this filly. And again, Empire Maker, when he won the Belmont Stakes in 2003, he won in pouring rain. My question is, how much did the soft course today contribute to your success?
Well, I don't know. The track was a little mucky at Belmont last time she ran, and I'm not sure that it really favored her. I think Butch Lear did a good job of getting our track back in shape today. I think by the time we ran, I think the footing was pretty good. We've had a tremendous amount of rain, yesterday and last night, and it was the worst kind of rain you could get because it was kind of a slow, misty, drizzling rain, and the track took on a lot of water, and I think we've got to give them a lot of credit for getting that situation straightened out. And even by the first race today, it was pretty good, and it got better throughout the day. The filly handled it, and I would say that maybe the track at Belmont last time, was, didn't have the same chance to probably dry out. It was probably a little bit muckier, and it wouldn't have favored her maybe as much as the track did today. But, you know, last time, that's not taking anything away from a champion older filly like Havre de Grace. She was a good competitor, but, you know, I think our filly got a lot out of the race. I think she, you know, sometimes defeat is not the worst thing. It just came at the right time, and it propelled us into a wonderful win today.
What did you think when you saw her making her move to go to the front? Was there any thoughts going through your head, like, is she going to make it there in time or anything like that?
Well, I wondered, between the quarter pole and the eighth pole, I wasn't sure. I mean, obviously, I'm not sitting in the middle of her. Jose probably felt pretty confident, and you can ask him that question if at leaving the quarter pole. I think I heard him say that he felt pretty good about her. And, you know, but you're sitting up in the grandstand and, you know, you're watching her come, and, you know that when they go in 49 and change in the fractions that they set, you know that the horses on the front end are going to have something left. So I think we were trying to catch horses that still had a little steam left, and she was just good enough to do it.
Bill, let me ask you before we get to our next question. Does this great win by Royal Delta, looking ahead to tomorrow, you've got 2 shots in the Classic with Drosselmeyer and To Honor and Serve. As great as you feel about Royal Delta's win today, does her performance make you a little more fearful tomorrow of Havre de Grace?
Well, I have a good deal of respect for Havre de Grace, and I have a good deal of respect for a lot of other horses that are in the race. I think it's a great field. You know, Flat Out is a very good horse. He's coming off a good race. And I think the filly is an exceptional filly. I think she's was one of the best top 2 older fillies in the country this year. I don't think there was any question about that. I think she and Blind Luck had a good thing going for the public. It's just a shame that Blind Luck couldn't, be in the Classic with her. I'm glad, for our sake. I mean, I'm happy enough that Havre de Grace went in the Classic, but I think our filly ran well. I think what you said earlier about with the other 2 good 3-year-old fillies being in there, I think this maybe put us in a very good position for an Eclipse Award for our mare. But the Classic is a good race tomorrow. Havre de Grace is in there, a lot of good horses. I felt like this morning he had the inside of this track pretty well packed down. Although there was some moisture on top, it had a pretty good base underneath it. I mean, this morning we went on the track. The outside was pretty well chewed up and pretty mucky, and it was not pretty. But he had the inside. He had the paths, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 path in pretty good order. We actually blew a horse out this morning and felt very comfortable with it. And this filly has been training over this type. We've been here for almost a month with her, and she's trained over some wet sealed tracks in the morning, and she's been handling them very well. She seems to get over it good, and she was I wasn't real worried about the track condition. I thought she'd probably handle it.
Okay, well, seeing no further questions, Karen Woods, Ron Wallace, Bill Mott, Jose Lezcano, congratulations on a great performance and in all likelihood a championship with Royal Delta.